Well, after I evaluated the first real onslaught, I thought the year winning on the road is difficult everywhere. I have to give Wisconsin almost more credit than I give us blame, although we have our ability to be blamed. But when you shoot 17, 16, 15 threes against three top 10 teams, that says it all. The question is, why did we not do a better job guarding them? Did not do a better job rebounding the ball? And I thought, looking at the film, normally I'm more upset with our offense. I thought we got good shots. That's the one thing I will stand up for us on. I thought we had good shots. We just didn't make them. But we had a good practice Sunday. In fact, very good practice, good meetings. And everything we're doing is getting ready for UCLA. UCLA, I have a lot of respect for Mick, what he's done in his career and what he's done there. His teams are always tough, well coached, play hard. Last year was a war out there. Them getting an experienced player like Sky Clark back, I think really helps them because Daly and Billadou and their point guard, those three guys are as good as anybody's got. We played against all of them, either the guys we played last year or we played against their point guard in, of course, in the NCAA tournament with Donovan. So it's not that we don't know them, not that we don't understand them, but I think Billadou is one of the better players in our league. He can beat you with a shot. He can beat you inside. He's very strong, and Dent is, a point guard like we've got that to get some things done. And obviously we get to see Xavier back. And the difference sometimes, I hope our fans understand this, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors. You guys all think you do, but most of you don't. And my relationship with Xavier was good. I was part of the reason he left. That was part of the reason that he almost didn't leave. In other words, I didn't feel like I got through to him like I could have and should have, and that's not always his fault. And so I talked to Book a lot over the last 6 months, 8 months, and I hope our fans treat him with the respect he deserves. He was a great student here. He never caused any problems. He always did his job. I always wanted more out of him, and I think he did too. And yet, I didn't think I did a good enough job of getting that out of him, and that's part of a coach's job too. So, I hope our fans welcome him back. I hope we beat him, but I hope our fans welcome him back, students and fans. I don't want to see anybody booing him and doing this and that because he left, because it was a mutual thing that we did what was best for Book. And but if you were part of my conversations with him over the last 6 months, you'd understand that I pull for him every game but one. So questions that you got, I'll take them and we'll go from there.
Tom, you haven't had a lot of guys transfer out and play you. I think Peter Brooks and Russell Bird came back in that kind of exhibition deal with the Masters. What's that like? And am I missing anybody early on that you?
No, I don't think you are. There sure weren't many. There weren't that many that left, and then definitely that many that came back.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Rocket. Where do we play him at? Detroit? Rocket, when he was at Oakland, yes. Okay. So, yeah, and Rock was in the same boat. I mean, not everybody you leave is an adversarial, I mean, sometimes things don't work out, but yeah, it's a little hard, uncomfortable. As you'd rather not like the guy personally, but he knows how I feel about him, and he knows what I hope for him in all 31 of his games, 30 of his 31 games, and so I don't know. It'll be strange to see him tomorrow. I know our guys have talked to him. Like I said, this isn't a never talk to him, and then all of a sudden we're going to see each other on the floor. No, this has been a relationship that has gone on spring, summer, and fall, and winter. So, Mick knows it. Yeah, uncomfortable only because I really think a lot of him and wish I could have done a better job getting everything out of him. He's playing a little better. He's getting bigger. He's doing the things he had to do. It just, he just needed a couple of years. And I think I'm glad he's doing what he's doing and not trying to get out of it and go somewhere and become a pro when he's not ready to do that, because I still think he has the ability to be a very, very, very good player. It's some guys, it happens in 2 years, some guys 4 years, some guys 6 years. And all I care about is at the end of the day, does he get where I hope he wants to be and where I think he can be, and that's definitely playing at the next level.
You mentioned being disappointed in the defense and the threes they hit on Friday night. UCLA is a pretty good three-point shooting team. Is there anything that it's stuff that carries over?
It's really disappointing to me when you look at Minnesota hit 47% from the three, and then they hit 43% from the three. I mean, for most of the year, we were a very good defending three-point team. And so sometimes, both games, that number 5 from Minnesota, had not been shooting really well. I mean, you still got to make them. It's hard to make 15, 16 threes in a practice with nobody guarding you. I mean, if you took a guy and said, can you make 60% of your threes, just shooting. Not a lot of guys would do that. And they made 17, 16, and 15 against us, Michigan, and Illinois. And so you got to give them some credit. But they had missed some shots earlier in the year, too, and that's why they had some losses. So you got to give them some credit on that. I give Gard a lot of credit, Greg, and everything. But you got to give us some blame, too. We're not defending the three as well as we had been. And I say that, and, you can sit there and say, well, I think Illinois had 9 threes against us or whatever they had, but they took 37, 38 shots. They shot 27%. I don't care if you get 15 threes and you take 60 shots, I'm cool. I'm good with that. But so I thought we defended the three extremely well against Illinois, who had 5 or 6 guys that could shoot threes. Wisconsin, the little guard went off. It was him single-handedly in that first half. I shouldn't say that. The first 2 threes of the game were a guy that was shooting 30%, And then he went off, and because Blackwell wasn't even playing. And then the second half he did. But I can't judge things, just like on decisions I make on 1 or 2 games, I know you can look at the negative. We lost 3 out of 4. I told you the schedule was going to be, Michigan's the best team in the country probably today. Okay, it was a hell of a game till the last 2 minutes, and that's the way the game went. It was disappointing to lose up at Minnesota, and I thought they were playing better at the time, and then they haven't played as well because those shots aren't going in. Wisconsin had won 8 out of 10. They're one of the better teams in the league. Illinois is one of the better teams in the league. Purdue is one of the better teams in the league. Michigan, Ohio State, those are all the top 6 teams in the league, and we play all of them at the end. So I told you the schedule was going to change some of that, which is no excuse. It's just a reality on what you do. And that is the reality we're dealing with. That's what makes these games so important now this week. And we have 2 home games. We have 2 big games, 2 teams that are all in the mix of everything, because everybody's going to be playing everybody. I went through it finally on the plane, and there are some teams with an easier schedule than others of those top 6. But we're not one of the easier ones. But everybody's got to play everyone. This week Purdue's playing, or Illinois plays Michigan. Michigan plays Purdue and Illinois, I think, this week, don't they? Huh?
They play Duke soon too, but that's not.
Yeah, but that's not a conference game. But that's That's the way the end of the year is with TV now, and we're trying to get it all in before baseball. It used to be we're trying to get it all in after football, and then maybe while we're doing both, and so it's really sandwiched in there.
Tom, I just want to stay on the topic of relationships a little bit, and you kind of gave me a little bit more to add to this question with your comments. We know relationships is not your middle name, but it's pretty close. Mick Cronin has some great things to say. You're telling the Spartan faithful to give grace to a former player and not throw him to the wolves to say nothing. And even Jake Voss told us you gave him a text right before the game. How important are relationships to you at this point in your career?
Well, it's going to be what gets me out of it. No question about it. Because it is the most important thing to me. I mean, what else do you got? Wins? Got a lot of wins. Losses? I got some losses. But the relationships, the wins end. My old boss was really good about it. Remember now, when you're done, be like when I'm done. Take your hand out of that bucket of water, and when you look down and see what's left, that's what's left, which means nothing. The relationships do last a lifetime. The wins don't. The losses don't. The championships don't. They make you feel good, but the relationships are what you have. I've said it all along, and everybody in this room knows that I would rather a reunion than I would a Big Ten championship sometimes. I'd rather the grind week because that, to me, solidifies what I'm doing here. The wins and losses, you could have a game. I was talking to Mick last night. He was an assistant at Cincinnati. Kenyon Martin breaks his leg in the conference tournament. We go from a borderline 1 seed. They were going to probably be the 1 in the Midwest. We were a 2. Breaks his leg. We go to a 1. They go to a 2. We're playing in Cleveland and Detroit. You know, all those things. We got lucky. We were good. We got lucky. And sometimes you are good and you get unlucky. But the relationships, they don't change. And so, you know, I mean, with guys that do me right, I do them right. And that relationship will last a lifetime. I mean, someday I'm hoping calling a team for a book. Someday I'm hoping helping him get somewhere. As I have other guys that have left. And some guys maybe left on other terms that I don't feel the same, and my dumb backside will probably still help them. Because that's kind of what you go to work for every day, you know. The problem is a good deal is a two-way street. And those got to be reciprocated in some way, shape, or form. Trust me, when Book left here, met with his parents, met with him, I mean, it was a very amicable, good deal, respectful, and everything else. Disappointments both ways. That's what should happen. So, yeah, the relationship thing, guys, we all know it's turning transactional. We all know people are going to get upset if you don't go in the portal, you don't spend enough money, you don't do this, you don't do that. Those have nothing to do with the relationships. I mean, hell, we just had a coach fired in the middle of the year here, or later, not here, but in college basketball yesterday. I mean, there's a million things about that bother me, a million. Some were kids that I lost to them. Some were kids that, you know, is he getting blamed for other things? I mean, it all comes down to it's transactional, it's going transactional. It ain't transactional here. It's not going to be transactional here. And if that bothers people, I can become a good golfer. You know, I really can be. But I won't be for a while because I got things I want to finish here, and I'm going to finish them my way. And that's the way we're going to do it.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Oh, sweet. Oh, sweet. Tom, I'll let you know the numbers on three-point shooting after we talk to Wisconsin. Is it me?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe second guess. UCLA, I think shoots 8.3% better than they defend, so it's third best in the country. The ratio between those two. And I wonder, is team.
Wait, now you're getting so technical. You're an analytics guy here.
Yeah.
I just you lost me.
The difference between them shooting threes and how much they defend is 8.3%. So they have third widest gap between how well they defend and how well they shoot. It's really good. And I wonder, when teams are shooting better shooting more three-pointers, and the game has changed in that regard. How much more important is it to be able to defend the perimeter and be able to do those things that you talked about between you
Yeah, well, you know, people wonder why I put my hat on the defense, and I always have. But my defense ends up good offense. So when we're defending well, people aren't getting offensive rebounds. Do you remember, those of you that were there were two or three times in that game Wisconsin got 3 offensive rebounds that ended up 3-point shots. Now, my former players, I know, were swearing at me because nobody gets 3 offensive rebounds against us. It happened 3 times. So when you don't give up those threes and you defend them better, your fast break is better. Evident 22-0 against Illinois and different teams like that. When you do give up threes and you're taking it out of the basket, or you give up penetration, and I think that's what we've done a poor job of. We have not guarded the penetration, the kickouts. Analytics says that, you know, everybody was going with the 3-point shot. Wisconsin's done a good job with it. Arizona was one in the country. We make more threes than they make. You know, you can't get caught up in the new girl in high school, you know, before you know everything about her. You know, you just can't do that. You have to stick with what you believe is what your system is. You can make adjustments, but I think Mick is a very good defensive coach. He's got a few guys that shoot it a little better this year, but I don't know what ours was. We were shooting 37% from the 3. There was a lot of time in the year we were in the 20s from the 3 defensively. Would that make ours about 7 or 8? I mean, is that how you're... I'm just trying to get how you're looking at it. So that's probably why we were winning a lot of games, you know? So the difference can be more by shooting more of them or making more of them or defending better on them. And it depends what kind of guys you got and how many 3-point shooters. I mean, Divine's hurt us a little bit. Caleb's hurt us a little bit. Those were 2 of our better 3-point shooters. Okay? So you just adjust, but our defense has to be what it has to be. Our rebounding has to be what it has to be, because that's the DNA of the program, and that's what we hang our hat on, and that leads to our fast break. And so I don't know if I answered that question. It was confusing, but I do understand what you're... Only confusing because I've never heard it that way. But the good news is most of the year we were shooting the 3 better percentage-wise, not numbers-wise. Most of the year we were defending the 3 a lot better. I don't know what it is now.
It's about 31.
31. So when it was 37-29, probably why we were 19-2. And now we're playing better teams. And so, you know, it's like I love the guys on TV now, like Barkley and them, you know, all of a sudden the analytics isn't as important. Even the football guys that are saying about some of these quarterbacks, and all of a sudden the analytics is changing. And I think you can get so caught up in the analytics that you forget eventually it's the ticker. You know, the ticker works right, the relationships work right, the team plays for the name on the front, not the name on the back, you're going to win games. That's what I believe.
Question more on that side then. I'm curious, how do you defend against the extra pass? Because it seemed like Wisconsin, and a couple players mentioned this, made those extra passes. Is that communication? Is that positioning?
Yeah, I thought once they got into some dribble penetration, that little guard did a good job. Once he did that, now you're all mixed up. You know, everybody's kind of trying to, and I thought that's what we did a poor job of. You know, we let them penetrate, and they made some shots. They made some shots that I think as bad as we missed some shots. And so then you get down 9 and you just never get back into it. So I don't know if the extra pass, they do a good job of that, but it was the penetrations that put us on skates because of the penetration they got, which most teams haven't gotten against us. So hopefully that's something we'll do a better job of.
I don't think anyone would have beaten Wisconsin on that night. We know how good Michigan is. Nobody's beaten them. Now they're number 1. Yet I'm trying to understand life in your fishbowl.
Oh, you wouldn't want to be in my fishbowl.
You've lost 3 out of 4, and everyone's ready to jump off the bridge. Do you find any humor in that? Does it upset you, or is it just something you've created here?
You know, if I was a smart Alec, I would tell you I see humor in it. But of course, I don't see humor in it. I tried to tell everybody everything. Nothing's really changed except a loss at Minnesota. If you get right down to it, but nobody looks at the Kentuckys and Arkansas and Illinois wins. You know, that's what we are. You know, and thank God, I think most of our fans aren't. The ones that call in, the ones that write in, the ones that you guys talk to, that you find somewhere, they usually are going to be that way. And you know what? It's their right to be that way. But listen, as Illinois found out, you know, you can sit there and say, what would Devine have done for us? Okay? Well, he didn't play it at Nebraska, if you remember. Does anybody remember that? He was starting then. He didn't play then. Okay, a second. We lose by 1, 2, and we turn the ball over 21 times to their 8. You know what kind of defensive job that was against a very good offensive team, to hold them to 58 points when they have, what are the analytics on that? You're good in math. 21 minus 8 means that they had 13 more opportunities than we had. And I'm a little concerned with how schedules work, because, you know, with these things we got now on TV and everything, I mean, you're in an onslaught, and so are some of these other top teams. But somebody's going to lose. So you know what? There's going to be 4 other fan bases that are going to be upset because of the top 8 teams. They're playing each other all the time now, and there can't be ties. Not hockey, you know. It can't be a tie. So somebody's going to lose. So somebody's going to be upset. What bothers me is when my team doesn't play well, and I think you're right. I don't think many teams would have beat them that night. It was an electric atmosphere. It was great. They deserved everything they got, and they shot it really well, and they've done that on more than a couple occasions. But I think our defense, our rebounding, our offense, I mean, there was a reason we were 19-2. We just didn't lose that. We lost a player, but he wasn't that much, you don't think, but nobody's ever that good until you lose them. It's like people that graduate, you know, you won't miss him. You know, he got 6 points a game and did this and that, and then you realize, you know, they all become better when they're done. They all do, whether they're done by injury or done by graduation. They all become better. And you know what's really ironic? When they're done, I become better. So that's the good two-way street. It works both ways, you know. Or when they go somewhere else, maybe I didn't have it so bad there, you know. So I can laugh about it because I've been in it long enough, but I was very disappointed in our loss at Minnesota because I did not think we covered the guy. And then you look at his stats and you kind of figure why, and coming off a big win, and you know, there's going to be those games. I mean, you're going to have them. I was disappointed because it was a 20-point loss there, but I wasn't disappointed because they played so damn good that I kind of had to live with that, you know. I was disappointed in our loss to Michigan because it was at home, but they are proven to be the best team in the country, and they can beat you a lot of different ways. And, you know, it was still a 2-point game with 2.5 minutes left, and you know what? They won the game. Okay, so a lot of basketball left. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs left. If people are jumping off the wagon, shame on them. But I'm not jumping off my wagon, and I'm not going to get so upset about it that it takes up my time. But there is a reality to something. The league, when you have this many teams and this many different styles and this many one-day preps, I mean one-team preps, in other words, you haven't played them before, is difficult, you know? It's more difficult than when you had it the nice old way. Sorry, Judd, looking down, but when you played all 10 games, you know, and you played Indiana twice and Purdue twice and Michigan twice and this guy twice, the second prep was a piece of cake. Now there's only 3 second preps, and one of them is our last game of the year. So it is a little more difficult than people think. And but I'm not complaining about it. I'm just trying to explain it, because you guys don't do as good a job of explaining those things, if you ask me. Because I was pretty honest with you 2 weeks ago when we were 19-2, and I told you, hey, what's coming around the corner? Did I tell you? Well, nobody wants to hear that. And then it sounds like I'm being negative, like I know we're going to lose. I don't know we're going to lose. And yet I feel good about my team. We've got to defend better. That's what we're good at. Offensively, Devine gave us some things where he could handle the ball from the wing and penetrate and do some things, and he made some big shots. I mean, so we're adjusting without that, just like Mick had to adjust without Sky. You know, it's the same stuff. We all got to do it. Rambling.
Are, from Solari, who couldn't be here, so do with that what you will. I'll try to make it more succinct than you would. You mentioned the 3 offensive rebounds. Is there you look at overall rebounding numbers, and it's hard to tell because they're so opponent-based. I'm just wondering if you've seen anything there that's at all concerning or a dip with your big guys in terms of rebounding lately.
I think they might be wearing down a little bit. You know, I thought they were. You say that the biggest team, the best rebounding team, we out-rebound them by 10. You know, does anybody care about that? You know, Illinois was the best, and in fact, when they got a guy hurt, they became even bigger. You know, and they are a very good rebounding team, and I thought we did a great job against them. You know, it's you know, Michigan is big, they're athletic, they're good, and you know, like we just assume that Michigan State should be able to out-rebound anybody. Why? Why should we be able to? I mean, they got athletes. They're 7'3", 6'10", 6'9". That's way bigger than we are, you know, and we were even with them. Wisconsin, they have 2 big guys inside, you know, but when you shoot as poorly as we shot and shoot as good as they shot, there's not a lot of rebounds for us to get, and there are more rebounds for them to get, and that's what happens, you know. So I don't think it's anything where, I mean, I think we've been out-rebounded once, twice?
Once and tied twice.
I mean, who are we? You know, it's not like I mean, if you want to look at size of Illinois, of Michigan, I mean, who are we? And so I think we've done a hell of a job on the boards in general. You know, do I think maybe, you know, during the time when we couldn't play Cam, were we wearing those other guys down a little bit? Now, I think Cam is still a very, very important part of our resurgence here, if that's what it's going to be called. But he needs to get in because he can rebound, he can defend. He's getting better with his offense, and that would maybe help those other guys get a little break.
You also haven't had many, I think you've had like in 31 years, maybe 30 20-point losses, maybe about 1 a year. I wonder if there's any, when you come out of a game like this and you're talking to your team, is there anything that, you know, you enjoy in terms of not the loss, but the teaching, or their attention, or is there anything,
You know, I mean, if I think about it that way, I look at it like, no, I don't enjoy anything about those kind of losses. Okay, that's number one. Number two is a game can get out of hand, you know, for a lot of different reasons, and who you're playing, where you're playing, when you're playing them. What I look at more is how do we practice going into it? How have we practiced since the game? I mean, like when some of you say, well, people are jumping off the bandwagon or they're doing this or doing that. I mean, they have no idea what the daily structure of everything is, and that's where they've got to trust me. If they don't trust me, then I understand that. I mean, that happens, and then they should voice their opinion. But I am not concerned at all about where our team is as far as mentally at all. I am concerned with a little bit looking at the divine thing on those 20-some minutes a game. How does that help us in different ways? And maybe could have played Cohen a little more at the 4-some and things like that. So you try to look at that. But I really look at how we practice and how our attitudes are and how we are in the locker room. And guys, we're so lucky around here. We got no issues. We got no issues. We don't have, we're not the greatest team that I've had. I've said that many times. Our margin for error is very small. But we lost maybe one game this year that you thought we should have won. I mean, maybe we were picked at Wisconsin. I have no idea. I don't gamble. But for the most part, one game. And considering the schedule we played, I think that's damn good. And that's the way I'm going to approach my team. And if I think they're not playing hard enough, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to address that too.
Got time for one or two more, Brooksy?
Tom, I do have two for you, if you remember me. Just wondering first, the origins of your relationship with Nick. It seems like you guys have a lot of similar philosophies, but he's not a guy that you guys have played a lot, at least early. He just comes into the league.
Yeah.
Just wondering where that relationship dates back to, where that came from.
It dates back to when he was at Cincinnati working for Hugs, and then he worked for Rick. And so I've known him for a long, long time. His dad was a coach. And, he kind of started a little bit like me. He just got there quicker. He was a high school coach while he was still in college. So was I for 1 year. He was a kind of a GA at Cincinnati, worked his way up, Then he went with Patino, and then he got the break when he got the head job at Murray State. I think he was only 31 years old. So he started 8 years different than me, but he's always done a great job. He's a different bird, but I think he does it the right way, and I think he holds people accountable like nobody I know. I mean, my press conferences are boring compared to his. I mean, I watch his just to get excited. So why do I like him? Because I think he says what he's supposed to say. I think he does what he's supposed to do. And I think he's tougher than nails. And the kids play hard. And he's had good teams and he's had average teams. He coaches them the same way. He's had good players and he's had average players, and he coaches them the same way. What you see is what you get. I like what I see, and I like what he gives. That's all.
Crazier than you.
What's that?
He's crazier than you.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Maybe not back in my day, but now, yeah. Oh, yeah.
At Wisconsin, the free throw cutout issue came up. That was UCLA where I remember it really became a big deal for you. I'm just wondering, has any single play in your career sort of had such an impact on one of your coaching philosophies? Like, I believe you said the defend, rebound, run sort of came back to an Arkansas game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a whole game. This was one play that has really stuck with you. I'm wondering if there's any other.
Well, when you're 5 up with 18 seconds left, and you not only lose the game, but that team goes on to go to a Final Four. Yeah, that has a little bearing on you, and so we do work on it. I said the night before that game. Now that game we lost was already lost, right? But I said the night before the game, I'm watching some games on TV, and it happens. It even happens in the NBA once in a while, and I'm thinking, how crazy is this? How can kids lose focus not to cut the guy? Now, once in a great while, the ball bounces. Strange, but when a guy gets inside position on a free throw on your team, somebody's not doing their job, and they should be called out, and they will be called out. and they have been called out. And sometimes it has a major impact, like that game at Purdue in the NCAA tournament, and sometimes it just keeps you fresh. But if you came to my practice, which you guys do once a week, we practice it usually a couple times a week, but the day of the game, it's always something we do. And usually the TV guys laugh about it. They're like, what's he doing?
Did you do that before the Purdue deal? Did you always do that?
Always. Always. Since back the Arkansas days, And cutting out is part of the deal, The football pads was part of the deal, It wasn't just funny. It wasn't for humor. It was for sincerity. It was for real. It was to try to get a point to people that don't always pick up points unless you do things like when people think Mick's nuts, I sit there and say, he's getting through to a guy that didn't do what he needed to do. And people are so crazy. They want you to... I wish people would do what they would do with their own kids. If their own kid walked in front of the car 3 times on the street, it would go from a, Johnny, don't do that. Next would be a hand slap. The next would be something severe. But yet my guys don't do what they want to do. Please, Johnny, would you do it? The 3rd time, please, Johnny. Johnny, do you think you could do a little better job? And people are crazy. Those are my kids. That's my job. And I would treat them just like I treat my own son. I really would. And I don't see why that's bad. We just make it bad. People fired a guy, I don't know, because he said they didn't deserve to use the uniform. I mean, I don't know all the behind the scenes things with it, but that's what I saw on a interview. Didn't deserve to wear the uniform. You know what? If there's things he did or didn't do, I'd feel the same way. I don't feel that the loss at Wisconsin, my guys don't deserve to wear the uniform at all. I think we got beat by a team who played better than us that night. We didn't do some of the things we need to do, but I can be human about it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to let it go on if that's what I think was the problem. So I don't know if that answered it good.
But any other play that stands out to you that's had such an impact on your coaching philosophy, again, or maybe that's just the most recent one that really reinforced the thing? That's all that was really getting at. If not,
Yeah, that's a pretty good point.
thousands of plays.
That's a pretty good point. But, just think in life. If something happened to one of your kids, how would you treat the other 3, 4 kids? If somebody got hit by a car, would you do that? If somebody became an alcoholic, would you treat the next child differently? I mean, this happens with everything in life. You have major things that impact you, some that happen to you, some that you see happening. The problem is when you see them happening, like when I show guys films of other teams, but it's like cancer. It's like these things. Until it happens to you, you never take it the same way because it's not that important. And those things, we all know society, things aren't as important as they used to be, but yet you want the same results. What sense does that make? It's not important to study, but I still want an A. I mean, people are nuts. I'm not nuts, they're nuts. And each one of you would treat yourself or your kids the same way. But in sports, when you have a word that you can go on a talk show or you can go on a podcast or you can tweet something, you look at it completely different. Do what you do to your kid. I'll put it this way. I have done exactly to my players what I do to my kids, except the language would probably be different with my kids because my wife would be mad at me. But you know what? You talk and say what you think is the way it'll get through to them, and where some of them are from, there's different ways you got to get through to them. But never do I look at it as disrespecting anybody, and never would I look at that with my own son. I mean, I ripped my own son when he was playing, and he wasn't even playing. Because if he wasn't doing, he'd go down there and dink around in the free throw line. He was a really good free throw shooter. You know, I think he really, really good free throw shooter. And I yell at him, I said, stop the ball, you know, and just like the other guys, he'd do the same thing. Just like the other guys, I ripped him, made him come in at 6 in the morning and shoot free throws. He's not even playing. So, God, I feel bad for everybody that you had to listen to this, but let's close it up. Any more questions? Let's close it up by saying this. We lost some games, 3 out of 4 games. We've lost 3 out of 4 games before. Okay, number one. I'm not trying to compare it to another year. Hell, I've lost 5 out of 6 games in my career. Not very often, but it's happened. It's how we're playing and who we're playing that matters to me. And right now, we got a very good team that's coming in here with one of their better players back. His first game back was Michigan. One of their better players back and very well coached. Teams were even last year. I mean, they beat us on a last-second shot, and that's all I'm focusing in on, you know, and makes it a little more nostalgic. I do get along with Mick well. I do love Xavier. I love the guy. I absolutely love him, and but I can't love him tomorrow night, you know. I can't even like him. But that's just the world we live in. That should be that way. He shouldn't like me either. But after, there'll be a hug, and after, either way, there'll be a phone call, and that is what I live for. Not what maybe our fans live for. Maybe not what you live for. That's what I live for. So I'm going to try to do a little better job coaching the three-point defense. I'm going to hopefully take care of the ball, which we've done a better job of in the last 5 games, a little bit better job of that, and that's helping. We've gotten to the free throw line. That was one of our big keys. I mean, we're scoring 75, 76 points a game, right? And, 78. Wow, for once, you come with a positive statement. 78 points a game, you know? And yet, why aren't we shooting more threes? Why aren't we going to the portal? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? It's part of the job. It's part of the job. Do I like it? No. Do I understand it? 100%. I mean, people pay good money to sit there. They pay for their phone to call into those talk shows and rip people. And they pay good money to tweet out things. You know, what is that? $75 a month? I don't know. What do they pay for that? You know, so God bless them. You know, if that helps them, God bless them. But if it's going to change me, you're crazy. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.